You're listening to the Unpenned Show with Paul and Andy, broadcasting live around the world. We believe freedom is free. It is enslavement that you're paying for. If you ain't mad by now, you're not paying attention.
Hi, everybody. Gather round. I'm here to give you anything you like. You want free college, energy, mortgages, whatever you like. You have come to the right place. Why? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Who can take your money? Who can take your money? With a twinkle in their eye. A twinkle in their eye. Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government. The government. The government can. The government can. And who can tax the sunrise? Who can tax the trees? Let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government. The government can. The government can. And the government can, 'cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good. Make it all taste good. The government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions. Like healthcare, climate change, pollution. Just throw away the Constitution. I wrote that, thank you. And who can give a bailout? Tell us to behave. Tell us to behave. And make the founding fathers roll over in their grave. I don't care if you hate me, I'm going to sing it anyway. Oh, the government can. And the government can go and mix it up with lies and make it all yummy, 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 yummy. The government takes everything. They're all power hungry and malicious. Their economics are fictitious. Soon we'll have to eat our dishes. Yeah. Delicious. And who can be a failure? In so many ways. And instead of getting fired, hey, we'll give ourselves a raise. California, you know what I'm talking about. Government can. And the government can, 'cause they mix it up and
You're ready for beautiful, natural-looking, easy-to-apply nails.
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. They are dismantling the sleeping middle class. More and more people are becoming poor. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand. They are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated. We are their cattle. We are being bred for slavery. The revolution. Break their signal. Our transmitter is not powerful enough. The signal must be shut off at the source.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. It is the Unpenned Show with Paul and
Andy.
Okay, here we go again then. Tuesday, the 29th of January, 2013. More of the same is what we're expecting, and it seems to be getting... well, worse. It's worse. It's
Definitely worse.
Definitely getting worse.
Yeah.
Anyway, the new format for the show is never mind this chatterboxing. Okay, we need to get the guests on, don't we?
We do, yeah.
We do. We have
an
an absolutely jam-packed show this evening. A few announcements to make before we start. If you're listening on YouTube, all the connections to myself, to Andy, to the guests, And all the ways you can actually contact us will be below the YouTube video. My thanks to Phil and to Alex for helping us with the editing and keeping the channel up to date. Okay, is all the thank yous done? Have I done it all?
I think so, yeah.
I have done it all.
Thank you to anybody that has commented on YouTube.
Yeah, we do invite comments. We actually love comments.
Yeah.
And we don't mind criticism.
No,
we
we've had a
ask
few.
for criticism.
We do.
Now, I remember one in particular, and it said, this word play. Yeah, it's like, it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Well, if you keep listening over a period of time, you'll realise that I thought it was ridiculous. You thought it was ridiculous.
I thought
In fact,
can't
we
be
just
true.
giggled our way through it, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was nothing but a joke. And as time has moved along and our understanding has improved, we're starting to work out that it's actually how it's been done.
Yeah.
We actually work out that we're living in different realities, and everyone thinks this is science. No, it isn't. It isn't. I think we live in a world. Picture a building, right? It's not called built, it's called building, as if like it isn't finished. And think of a tall building. What do we call each level?
A floor.
Or
Story.
A story.
Story, yeah.
Right? We are living in a reality of building tall stories. That's what we're actually living in.
Yep.
It's a bit like the old sitting round the campfire. If you'd been out hunting or fighting and you'd perhaps killed one or two, you came back with the story you'd killed 20. This is building tall stories. It's the childish approach to the playground challenges.
Yeah.
It's the gangs in the playground. And what's the playground? This beautiful blue little planet is
that
the
we live on,
playground.
yeah.
Two guests this evening. I'm going to ask ladies first. Ladies first. Let's see if I can get her to join us online, live around the world. Can we say a very good evening to Sherry Beth Sandor? Hello, Sherry, are you there?
How do I sound?
You sound absolutely perfect, darling. Thank you.
Lovely.
Thank you for joining us. We're just Andy's just sorting out his fingers and thumbs. Sherry, thanks for joining us, darling. Thank you.
Nope, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk to you while Andy gets himself sorted out then. Sherry, a native New Yorker. Well, you and I spoke around about 6 weeks ago, and you were kind enough to invite me to come and meet you in London. I think you might have thought it was just 5 minutes down the road from where I live. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a little further down the line. But tell us a bit about you, Sherry, because some people will know who you are, but many are listening, they won't know who you are. Tell us a bit about you.
Well, let's see. I was born in Santiago, Chile in 1973. My parents were killed in revolution in the Pinochet regime. And I was adopted by a lovely family, the Sandors, and grew up in Westchester County in Chappaqua, New York. A very pristine life, idyllic childhood. Went to college, studied theater, did voiceovers, and started doing research on 9/11, and took me to internet radio and, unlifting the veil of what's going on in the world today.
Well, what a great story that is, especially the I didn't know the early part of your life at all. That certainly adds to your upbringing and your knowledge and your experiences, because it is all experiences, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We have to have them, and we have to have good ones and bad ones to be who we are and make of it what we will. Let's see if Andy's got his fingers and thumbs sorted out. You still with us? My pleasure to speak to you. Thanks for joining us. Now, you are speaking to us from an undisclosed... what shall I say? An undisclosed address, which we shan't talk about. We'll just leave the mystery there, shall we?
Yeah, we'll leave it a mystery.
What are you doing in the background there? You snapping pistachios or something?
Oh, no, actually, my pen, actually. Sorry.
Right, I do have a partner in crime sat in with me, and that is Andy. So if I can say, come in, Andy, and say hello to Sherry.
Good evening, Sherry.
Good evening, Andy. How are you?
I'm very well, and you?
Lovely.
Right,
Lovely.
we are two of the most plain, straightforward guys from Yorkshire you will ever meet. I don't know if Yorkshire has any reputation going before it, but Yorkshire is, we say it how it is.
Yeah.
There isn't much grey in Yorkshire. It's black and white, isn't it? We've got black and white cows and white sheep, haven't we?
Yes.
It's only the grey skies that are there, right? But that's actually the grey skies in all the world, I believe.
Now, the first time I came across you broadcasting was around about 2 months ago. It was a friend, a friend we have in common, Phil, he mentioned your name. He asked me to go and listen to you, and I don't know how you broadcast so quickly and still breathe.
I know it's I think it's wonder. It's not magic.
It's some sort of magic. It's some sort of magic.
It's just me, I guess, and it's all free flow. It's all off the cuff.
It is wonderful. Now, most of us guys and girls in the UK, we do always find the American coverage and what's happening in the US of A. We find it remarkable. I mean, it still is the cowboys and Indians approach to politics, the cowboys and gunslingers approach to local politics and applying the law. I mean, you really do have a gun culture that we don't understand here in the UK. We got the guns taken away from us a long, long time ago, and as for the process of domestication, we're a lot further down the line than the Americans are.
Right. It's because you guys have your police with the billy clubs, and it's what are you gonna do when the guy has a gun and he's got his billy club? Well, what are you gonna do with the billy club? Exactly. I always thought that was kind of odd, but and it's strange that you say that because Port Arthur, I think, the Port Arthur massacre.
Australia,
Yeah, the Australian in the prison colony, which was in Newtown, which was a suburb of Hobart. That actually was the precipice of taking away the gun rights then.
It was for Australia. We actually had our own problems here in the UK in '87. And that was a school massacre at Dunblane. And it is unfortunate that these school massacres do appear to be the precursor to reducing gun rights around the world.
Right.
And the Americans are certainly using it. I mean, I don't want to go into the Sandy Hook thing.
Yeah, no.
I don't see that we can serve any purpose or cover any ground that isn't already available online. There are so many conspiracy theories connected with Sandy Hook that I want to leave it alone. The fact of the matter is that, we don't know.
I agree.
And when we don't know, it's best just to wait until we know some more than just dive in, because you really can make a mistake and make yourself look a little silly. Now, are you still broadcasting, or have you taken a break? Because I know you are moving, you're not quite static, as it were.
Yeah, no, I've been taking a break, a hiatus, gathering my thoughts, gathering my, collecting my, I guess my persona, I should say.
Yeah, good for the soul, isn't it? Good for the soul.
Absolutely.
Now, I actually sort of gave you a little bit of an idea of where I wanted to go with the interview, and I only gave you 3 points that I would like to cover, and I'm hoping we can cover many, many more. All this is just opening the door to see where we go.
Go for it.
But you are an experienced broadcaster, perhaps more so than I, but that's not the competition we're talking about here.
No.
Give me, because I don't call this number of people that we speak to, I don't call them the truth movement, because I don't think we have the truth. So I try and exclude that word as much as possible.
I think we have questions, I would say.
Yes, that's exactly what I think we should be doing.
Yeah.
We have a wonderful word in this language called wise. W-I-S-E.
Yes.
But if we speak it, if we say wise, it sounds like why is.
Right.
Wise, why are we the why is men? Are we trying to become the why is men and women? Are we trying to understand why this is happening? And is that not the fault of the sleeping population, that they don't just ask why and insist on an answer coming forward?
Well, as far as the sheep or the people who refuse to awaken are perpetuating the silence.
They are.
Yeah, yep. I believe that, because it doesn't take. It's not just one person. It takes a whole mass of people to not see anything and not say anything.
Well, the television solves that problem perfectly, doesn't it?
Right.
Because the television not only shows you the problem, it waits for your reaction. Then we have at least 2 experts ready to solve your reaction, your problem with it. So they say, this is happening, what do you think of it? And here's the experts to tell you how we're going to solve it. It actually takes away all cognitive thinking from the viewer. The viewer becomes the programmed.
Of course. It's almost like a tunnel vision, giving them only sound bites of what they need and want to hear. Because if you give them too much of information, they can't compartmentalize it. One, they don't have the the brain capacity. 2, they don't have the time. 3, they don't have the energy. 4, honestly, at the end of the day, they don't really care. They just want to hear what they want to hear. And it's like they want to be spoon-fed just a little bit, and then that's fine. Because then if they break out of that element of, oh my God, it's so big, I can't understand it, then they're just going to freak out. Right?
And the problem is, it is too big, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is the biggest picture, and every time you think you've got you've tried to frame it, it just keeps getting bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge. It's bigger than a rabbit hole. It's a sinkhole. It's a giant sinkhole that keeps getting bigger and bigger, and once you think you might have a slight grasp on it, you kind of lose your hold of it, and then you kind of question everything.
Well, I know, I realise that, but that's because you're waking up, aren't you? You see, you're waking up, but I'm finding it very, very difficult. I mean, I've been involved, I think, now with trying to get people to at least question about nearly 5 years, and I'm going to tell you my success rate is pretty bloody dismal. It is absolutely dismal. I would say and I really have tried. I actually I have a wonderful stage. I have a very traditional fish and chip shop, an English fish and chip shop, and I have a brilliant stage for broadcasting what I think might be alternatively interesting. And I think I have more opportunity than most people to do that, and I certainly don't waste any time trying. And you know what? I can get them to be interested, but they smile politely and come up with alternative. They say, but what can we do?
Right.
It's such a short lifetime. Why would you spend it in the doom and gloom theatre? Why do that? Yes, it's always been this way, but we can't change it. Don't upset yourself and others by broadcasting this stuff. And you try and say, yes, it does sound dark and dismal, and the truth is, I can't tell you that that's not how you're going to feel every now and again. But there is a major positive side to this, and that is that you finally find you. You finally find who you are. And are you a coward, are you a bully, or are you strong enough to see past both those facades?
Exactly. It's how much are you willing to kind of acknowledge in yourself of how strong you are or how strong you want to be, and what you perceive yourself to be able to do. Because it doesn't take a great man to do great things. It only takes a small person to do bigger things. You just have to have it in you. And if it's almost like it's a very pessimistic attitude of, well, why, what's the point? Well, what's the point? Well, your life is the point, I would say. People don't want to upset their normal, their normal place in life. They don't want to go out of line. They don't want to upset the stream or the rhythm.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you though that did you actually? I mean, we've said this before, haven't we? We said that yes, there's other things I could be doing. Yes, that there are other things that I do get involved with. But this is the most interesting thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's learning about me, and it's learning who I am. And how clever I am, and whether I'm actually worth, am I who I think I am? Now,
right.
Now, Andy is asking if we can come back. So, Andy, what I want you to do is I want you to ring me, and you will automatically be connected. So, Andy, you just click on me on the Skype, and you will come straight through. Hopefully, he's picking up what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm here.
Marvellous,
Hello.
marvellous.
I've been here for a while. It's gotten better, the link.
It has. Andy and Sherry. Sherry, say hi to Andy. Andy to Sherry, you are both now live.
Hello,
Hello,
Andy.
Sherry. Hello,
Hello.
Sherry.
All right, now
Hello, sweetheart.
Now you two both are part of a conversation group on Skype. That is it is one of the busiest conversation groups I have on Skype. And although most of it is not my focus, as it were, it is funny to see the interactions on Skype and the hundreds of people that Andy puts together. So let's bring Andy into the conversation properly then. Now, Andy, you are a radio broadcaster of some experience. You are at the moment between. Well, you tell me where you are at the moment and what you're up to, and how on earth do you keep that group going and you keep it alive, you keep it kicking, you keep it refreshed, you keep them informed, and no matter what the subject is, you have the information at the end of your fingertips. How do you manage that?
Okay, well, that's a good question, Paul. Thank you. And I know Sherry's listening, so that's good. If I may, to answer that question and basically pull in on what you were just saying, Paul, earlier on to Sherry, the reason that I do this is because I'm incredibly focused on the New World Order plan of genocide. And the reason that I'm focused on that is because probably since the age of 17, I was always asking those questions, why? And during that time of my life, the answer was, well, that's just the way things are. The way things are is that you have to work for a minimum wage, get taxed, and never ask any questions at all about how the world generally works, even though in your heart you're feeling like a slave. And I spent the best part of my life travelling around the world, thank goodness, getting out of the UK because of that very thing, and did it successfully without actually committing any, within legislation, what they call crime, to actually generate the funds to travel around the world and do that. Now, the thing is, that the reason why we're doing what we're doing is because it is absolutely clearly imperative. Obviously, this is a very long plan, long, well-laid plan of thousands of years. But to keep the focus on money, how it's created, what it does, and that the fact is that the courts, the police, were never, well, certainly the Crown Court system was never actually put in place as an adjudicator with any honour at all. It was all only ever about the trap that you're in with regard to the civil, and it should be. What is really frustrating right now, Paul, is just the obviousness to a great deal of, let's say, hundreds of thousands of very experienced and wonderful, loving, peaceful people around the world who've taken the time to study all that there is on the free and open internet, to realise that it's blatantly obvious now what the plan is of the New World Order for total, not only dumbing down and bringing down the numbers of mankind on a global scale on every country, but then thereafter to survive on Earth with those numbers in complete and total control.
Well, I mean, the actual truth really, I mean, yes, it is hard to actually speak it into reality, but I agree with you, Andy. The actual truth is, this is the end of humanity in this version. This is the end of us as a feeling, compassionate, empathetic, understanding, creative, loving being. This is the end of who we are. They're going to take the very light, the very life, the very soul out of us and replace it with a counterfeit that serves their needs better.
Right. Well, and then I suppose therein in your answer, it's not a definite, but that's why there is resistance. That's why there is a fight. Because that's not acceptable, obviously. And, you know, the earth is everybody's. It's not that of corporations to wreck and ruin, of which they have been for a great deal of time. There are obvious ways that mankind can live. We don't really have to be scurrying around for solutions, since the very people who are on TV every night and day, politicians and bankers and stuff, the very, very, not just psychopathic people, but deep criminals, have been in charge for a great deal of time, and they're clearly not interested in listening to any such solutions, but they will tell you that they are, but they're not.
No, they're
and
not.
because they're not, this is affecting the lives immediately of obviously the most vulnerable first, the handicapped, the children, and obviously given the wars that they've founded not only the money for, but 10 years ago got all the bombs and guns, bullets, tanks all built and in place to conduct this series of wars at this point in time, really across pretty well every state of North Africa or Africa itself and the Middle East. And you know, it's the reason why people, I think one clear solution is to have people understand that they are contributing in their ignorance, and it's not maybe fair to say, use the word zombie, I do like that word, but in their ignorance because they weren't taught it in schools, because the curriculum was specifically spaced to lie to them and not tell them who they really are or anything about their financial position. To be lied to and conned is the way of the Rockefellers and Rothschilds.
It certainly is, my friend. Now, I remember when I first started, and it's funny, isn't it, because everything is a circle, everything revolves, and to complete is a revolution. And I keep having revolutions in my own head, and that is that I always get back to the start. except every time I take the next ride, the next roundabout, it gives me a bigger vision of what it is. And the revolution I'm trying to explain is that it's the money system. It is the money system. And no matter how much talking we engage in, without getting our own money system back, without it becoming an honest money system, everything else that we do, no matter how convincing it may be, if they've got the ability to print as much as they need, they will always find willing participants to carry out their needs.
Right, well, because it's data gathering. It's all data. It's all electronic. The softwares have already been made, and this was a long time ago. So they don't actually have printers working in the background, and they're certainly for a long time, and nothing in the future will predict that they'll be latching on to any commonsensical paper-based money latched to that of the value of gold or silver.
Yes, exactly.
They're not going to go back to that, but still an awful lot of people are being fooled into the fact that that might be a possibility. Because it should be pretty obvious when you look at George Osborne over in the UK and Obama and these other people, that they look sensible and serious when they're speaking, but they're running their own script. They're clearly they're not listening to the experts, interest-free money or just free generally. No, because they're greedy, because they have a plan. It's not because they're completely insane and don't know what they're doing, because they do know exactly what they're doing. I urge people to look into the United Nations, the World Bank and the IMF positions and the longevity of the existence of those organisations.
Now, to bring Sherry back in, Sherry, because I know you're still there and you're listening intently, the American monetary system is identical to ours and identical to almost every system across the very world itself. And the banking oligarchy do control all but 3 or 4 maybe countries that they claim they don't control. We'll see how that works out. Iran, Venezuela, North Korea,
right.
Whatever. These are the countries that are next on the list to be taken.
Right.
But bringing Sherry in, the American monetary system is, if we think ours is bad here in the UK, the American monetary system is almost on the verge of printing $1 trillion coin to solve these problems. Now, do we think that's filling newspapers, or do we think they're going to print this coin?
Honestly, I think it's about as crazy as the fiscal cliff that they keep doing. If they want to print $1 trillion, I say go for it, guys. But if it was that easy, they would have done it. And just like what Andy was saying about George Osborne and Obama, they look good on paper and they're all very fine and good and they look like they're upstanding citizens. But David Cameron and George Osborne, there's a connection there. With the Rothschilds and
you've been far too kind to them.
Right? I'm
These
trying to be PC today.
These
because
people
it's a new me.
They are lying.
It is. That's quite incredible from Sherry, isn't it?
They
Wonderful. I like it. Yeah.
They are lying Decepticons. They are two-faced bloody liars. That's what they are.
What you need to do is think about this. Okay, the underlying psychology of it. Just 5 years ago, there was never any words, except in comedy movies, about the word trillion. Okay, maybe the words billion, but slowly but surely, the trillion has crept into the equation. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have heard it. Now, the thing is, what they're going to be trying to do is selling this idea, and this is the scary part, to people who actually will just accept it as truth. They won't know what a trillion is. Maybe on the curriculum, there might be some teachers somewhere in America who actually will write down the amount of zeros and try to make credible the alleged debt that exists, that it's something real and not fictional. And it's in doing that 5, 10, 20 years from now, it will all just be as it should be in their world. Because they keep on with the lie, they persist. And to you or I, $1 trillion coin is just, if you like, coming from the mouth of, what's his name, not Barack Obama, the
Mr. Bernanke.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben, yes.
With a straight face, Paul.
I know.
Talking about it.
I know. I remember. I always have a couple of kids that work for me, and I've got a show. And anyway, I always have a couple of kids, and I remember a few years ago saying, right, here's the difference between 1 million and 1 billion. 1 million seconds takes 12 days to go by. 1 billion seconds takes over 30 years to go by. And 1 trillion seconds takes 3,200 years. There be the difference. There it is. 32.7 years, I think, is 1 billion seconds, and 32,700 years is 1 trillion.
Whoa.
Paul, can I ask you something?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I wonder where you would place then in your learning, in your position, in what you observe, with regard to, obviously, if you know your facts about the longevity of who the bankers are and why this is happening, where exactly would the whole esoteric New Age aspect come into things? Why would it be that on a number of different varied streams at different times you could hear about apparent voyages into the hollow earth and, I don't know, going the other direction in outer space? I'm really investigating that a lot myself. But actually being told about your spiritual self and who you are, I kind of knew that a long time ago. So it's somewhat interesting, and I could enthuse it. But I'm more interested in the facts and
you and I both, yeah. You and I both. I really do. I do have a lot of trouble believing in what I can't see, taste, touch, smell, or actually hear with my own ears. So it's not that I don't think these things exist. It's just that I don't occupy my time pretending that they may. I just accept that they may. Now, all I can say from my own personal perspective is that this journey has taught me who I am, and it's made me look in the mirror, and this wonderful daily mirror has made me face my demons. It's made me overcome the dreams that are really lies that you tell yourself. We call them dreams, but they're actually lies. Because we somehow think they're going to come true if we just wish for them enough. So once you get rid of those lies and dismiss the dreams, you're then in the present. And once you live in the present, well, the present, I've said this before, but it's the best way for me to describe it. The present is now, and the present is also called a gift. And what we're given with this sight is the gift of sight is to see the present. And now you've got to stop dancing to somebody else's tune. This is a game of pass the parcel, but we call it pass the book. It's called pass the book, so you don't realise it's the same thing. So if you can stop the dance, call it the present, you can start unwrapping the present because it's your gift. You have to stop dancing to somebody else's tune.
Now, sorry, Sherry, to be sidelining you. I have an... Okay, sweetheart. Paul, you've raised another question. Really, you're spot on. To bounce back off that, in the now here, one thing that maybe annoys people is if I was to say that this, for me, is heaven on earth. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you have the rain falling on your head or sunshine beaming on a summer's day, the beautiful forests, just everything that earth is. Why is it that you should sit and imagine that there is some kind of other world spiritual life outside of this world, for one? For two, it's not our fault. If you talk about the facts and you see the starving millions around the world, the monetary systems we're in, and all the constant perpetual, I like that word, wars, which is the wish of the money makers, if you understand, which I do, this whole New World Order plan, you would see that it's not our fault for continuing the way we are, because you've been lied to since birth over generations. If you consider that this is heaven on earth, then this is what's worth fighting for, the here and the now right here that you can touch and smell, and not be considering going off for trips to Mars or wormholes or outer planetary disclosure projects, of which are all the planning, because that takes people's focus away from the here and the now right here, the challenges within the courts and stuff, which is all perfectly righteous.
You're absolutely right. Now, Sherry, do you want to come back on that? I mean, how do you see this reality? Are you okay with the present, or are you more interested in what it is that we can't see that perhaps is helping? I mean, where are you on this one?
Well, I like to believe that I just have faith that something is out there that we cannot see or touch, smell or hear, but we know that it's a possibility that it is, and at someday we will experience it, and that's what I believe about that. And I know spiritually that, there is another realm out there. But you are right that, it is here and now that we are living. And it is here and now that we should be concentrating on, because that is all we have, is now, today, the present. Because we can't, you can go look in the past and see the mistakes and the problems that have brought us to this point here. But we have to concentrate on now, because to think about the future, yes, we're thinking about the future, but to go into the future is a kind of poppycock, because nobody knows what the future holds. And it is only if we fix what we're doing at the moment right now, then that future will be there. We can't, assume. In the U.S. we have a term, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. And I find that, funny, but, we need to open our eyes and open our ears and listen, look, and see, and, make our presence known here and now. And that's where I'm at with that, But I do know that spiritually that there is something, but it's something you can't put your finger on.
I absolutely agree as well. That is the best I could have described it myself. There is something more to life, because life is creation, and the very life stories that we live it all comes from the act of creation, and that is the first race we ever take part in, and that is the race to create ourselves. That is the actual race between the sperm that creates us. And that's the first race, and everything else is a mirror of that race. But it gets fitted into stories that we call fairy tales. But we have the word God. I just think there's an O missing out of that, and it's the word good. And if we put the word good in place of the word God, everything makes more sense on this terra firma. Everything.
Well, yes.
God is God is the entity you can't see, who may judge you, whereas good is the entity you can see, because it's you, and you will be judged if you don't live in a way that is, kind and generous and compassionate to other people. So I think the church has just hijacked what we are, because inherently we are good. The system makes us all psychologists. I look around and I see a society full of psychologists. Now, psychology is a talking therapy, and that is where that we all talk to each other and share our problems, and then we turn into psychiatrists, because now we prescribe the fix. We live in a sick world, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Paul, if I could just throw in there, did you ever pick up on, if you studied the longevity of the Vatican and its legislation in governing people's minds, hearts and minds...
The Holy See, it's called, yeah. The Holy See from the 13th century.
Right. Well, it could be with his... their get-together, which actually was a long time ago, just pure out-and-out greed for monetary gain.
Absolutely,
So God, gold, oil and drugs. I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah. I've got the clip, I've got the clip from the BBC documentary. Yeah, that's right in this reality. But, I mean, we can go back to mind control by programming language. We know that existed at least 2,500 years ago, because the philosophers wrote about it. And I actually decode language in a very interesting way, but that's not really what I'm going to go with this evening so much. And that is that the language we speak today is, and I think I described this at the top of the show, but I'm going to go with it again because neither of you were online at the time. But our language, I'm going to describe it as a very tall building. Okay, a very tall building, and that building, every floor is called a story. Okay, and as our language has been built, okay, we keep putting another story on top. So we're building tall stories, which is why our building, because we haven't finished building yet. If buildings were finished, they would be called built, but they're not. They're all called building, because they keep stacking the stories on top of the ground floor. And eventually, once they stack enough layers on top, the building crushes those at the bottom, and another layer goes on top. And this is how it works. This is how the language works.
Also, if I may just put in, I don't know if it's slightly off subject, but the fantasy that most of the other people who maybe will recall back to this podcast and hear us speaking, if they just go about thinking that somehow a judge would understand testimony, and judges aren't to be questioned, and they do know factually based what's right and wrong, then that's clearly a part of the problem, and the police, civil servants in between as well, because some people maybe just don't question the fact that the testimony, the make-believe, the stories are made up for their own financial gain by all these people in these positions at all times. Why I know that, Paul, is because there's been a peaceful resistance process at the very highest level, brilliant. I know in the UK for the last 5 years, trying every single method and manoeuvre to let Freemason clubbed bar member judges, male or female, at every level know who they are in a polite, normal way, and there's no getting through. That's why that system is deemed to fail, because unfortunately they probably might think they're either going to murder all of the free men that I know, or they're going to jail them, which it would appear would be the plan. But that's unfortunate, because I've always said I'm very excited about the fact that the Judge Dredd type no evidence needed, no warrants needed system. It's not something for the future. That's very, very much already here, both in the United States, in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK and Ireland. It's not just a one-off case-by-case basis. It's right across the board. And actually with that, I'm not affected by it, but there are people having their children stolen as well. I
am aware of I mean, I do say the rebels with too many causes, and it's not that I'm being nasty to those people at all. It's just there is so much that you don't know where to focus. Now, I see the internet as my enemy, and it is my enemy. It's television 2.0. But as the cliche goes, keep your friends close. But
enemies closer.
But we know the internet is a global spy tool that we have paid for. We have built the infrastructure, and now we're using it. We're still doing it. And I wonder, I mean, I listen to people speaking, many of them, and they talk about the contamination in the food, the contamination in the water. We talk about the corruption in the monetary system and the criminal justice system. We know about all these things. But still we drink the water. Still we buy the food. Still we go to McDonald's. Even people who don't know, they say, oh yeah, we still go to McDonald's. We know it's not good for us, but the kids like it. And who is the ship of fools? Because I'm starting to think that we're fools. We need to stop being silly.
You're right. It's a circus. It's a circus full of freaks that just, it's like, I was just saying this earlier today, I'm trying to quit smoking, but, it's like, you light that cigarette up, it's like, the outcome, you know what's in it, you know what harmful ingredients there are. It's like you're sticking your hand in the fire and getting burnt, and then going, oh, let me get burnt again, let me just stick my hand in the fire again, oh, yes, go for it, it doesn't register. Because it's like this, it's just like the mentality of the people who say, well, what can you do about it? What are you going to do about it?
All addictions justify themselves in your head. And everything we have is addictive. The food, the alcohol, the cigarettes, the drugs, television, and it's all addictive. The internet, of course, mobile telephones. It's all addictive to those who are addicted to it. And because it's addictive, we always justify its use in our heads.
Right.
I see.
That's sorry,
actually, if I could raise a point with you, Paul, I'm very dubious about the word we. I don't like to make big statements about we all still do that. That's a very common purpose statement. But, I personally know people who have stopped doing things and changing their way of life because of what they've learnt, and they're wonderful, wonderful people, certainly with regard to even food. But one thing that they haven't been able to do, and this is the really contentious point, is that they know that, let's say, a lot of hosts, they're sitting behind computers, they're paying for servers with electronic means, they're probably, I don't know, getting adverts on stations to try and fund those means to keep it going. But the one thing they're not doing is actually challenging their electric bill, the mortgage of the house they're living in, and the water and any other taxes. They are just maybe trying to disseminate information, because we're all, at this point in time, it would seem, except for one or two individuals that you know, Paul, trapped within using electronic funds and signing bits of paper to continue your existence unless you drop out of the monetary system altogether.
It is difficult. I mean, it is. Existence is almost impossible without going back into the matrix. And on last week's show, I said the very same thing. I now find that I put myself back in the matrix to try and see what I can achieve with what I now know. Living outside of it, it was only okay for so long, and then you have to go back in, I think. Now, I don't pretend that I can change the world. I don't even think I can change any part of the bigger world. But the world I can change is the one that I really live in. And that is the people I know. That is the people called family. That is the people who love me. And I have to work awfully hard, but it does work. It's slow, it's hard, but if you just generally keep going, because we've been taught to progressively ram this information, and you do it very slowly, and eventually people do start to respond. It's not that they're going to do banner hangs and attend council meetings, but at least they know you haven't gone mad. At least they stop calling you nuts. Right. And if you don't overload the conversation, they do ask for your opinion. So it is coming along for me. How's it working out for you, Sherry? Are you finding that you can now engage people without frightening them and that sort of thing?
Well, I don't really engage anybody these days. I kind of just building up my repertoire, kind of working on my entrance point, my elevator pitch.
Okay.
My 2 minutes of, I don't want to freak you out. I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but this is what's going on.
I mean, I do love your delivery style, but it isn't for the faint-hearted, and you can't... your delivery style is for the people who are awake. You're an information provider, and you really do deliver it at a pace that, you can't hear your show once and know everything that you've just said.
Thanks, yes. Paul. That's what I thought when I first heard but listen, now
it's on the accelerator track.
Paul, I was just going to agree with you with, in fact, what you said. With regard to, you can't unlearn what you've learned, and so it's a frustrating position to be in, because you could try to maybe ignore what you've learned and drip straight back into the matrix and just try and live a normal life, which is kind of the position I'm in right now, and I don't like it. And 14 years ago, the original 1999 Matrix movie came out, and there is still probably one of the most telling scenes in that movie is when they're walking across the street with the people with the great music going and the lady in red scene. And the point is, if you've been unplugged, you are unplugged. You did it yourself. There should be no regret, and you can go on learning. But it really is a place, unless you are going to commit some heinous crime, you can't go back. But there are also people who are not prepared to be unplugged, not ready to be, and or clearly ready to know full well that what you're saying is perfectly the truth, founded in fact, but just turn on you and call you nuts, crazy, and basically call the system.
It's because we've frightened them. We're actually rocking their boat. We're trying to crack their mirror. And I remember in the early days, maybe you'll say you felt the same. And it was almost like I dropped a mirror and split it into a million splinters, a million pieces. And now I had to sit down very carefully and put it back together. Hasn't it felt like you're building your own picture now? You're becoming your own artist. And you're using your own vision. And this picture, by golly, you just get it sorted, and then it becomes a bit bigger. You can never quite bloody frame it. We've got this programme on in the UK called You've Been Framed. Well, we have. The general population have been framed, because they're looking at frames. All films come in frames, all pictures come in frames, and we've got a brand new box called the Internet, and it's just the same thing again. And it's a real challenge. It's very, very difficult. And I think the word heaven, although this is just one version of heaven, it sounds like it's going to be tough work. It sounds like you're going to be pushing something very heavy, doesn't it? And it sounds like it's a hill you have to climb, or a mountain of your own making, and now you have to get to the top, reach the summit, and take a rest, because you'll never stop climbing if you want to take the challenge. It is snakes and ladders. It is the ultimate, the ultimate challenge. It is for the goats. It's not for the lowly sheep. It's for the sure-footed goats. And we choose to take this challenge. And the hill or the mountain is as big as we make it, because it's our own personal satisfaction. It's the reward that we give ourselves for achieving what we never thought we could and being better than we thought we were. It's a personal thing. It's entirely down to how successful you feel with what you've done with your life.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and that's the last conversation you're going to have with yourself, because I can't prove there's more to this life than when I'm done with this body here. But I say to myself, all right, if this is how it works, and when I finish with this outer shell and I go trotting off to the next level, whatever it is, and I meet Peter at the gates, and Peter says, "Hello, pal, we've been expecting you." And you say, "Well, thanks very much." And Peter says, "You've done it. You worked on yourself. You tried to live a good life. You tried to help those you could help. You've realised that this is hell, but you tried to make it into heaven, and now you can have a go at the next level." And if that's how Peter lets you in, I'll say, good, I've been planning that might be the case. Now, if it's not the case, I'll be dead.
You know, that is very thoughtful. Can you hear me okay there, Paul, yeah?
Yeah,
I can hear you fine, yeah, fine, yeah.
Okay. Hi, Sherry. Because, yes, I was actually just going to say something else, but I think in these times that if people can actually get together as well in pub meetings in the UK, to meet like-minded people, there is nothing better than that. It's all enhancing. It's brilliant. You can learn from each other and be amongst people who are well-meaning and love and respect what you have to say, and you can learn more. That's one way. And secondly, maybe keep it local. Do what you can to wake people up. And you know, there are. I was going to throw in the name David Icke, for instance.
Yeah,
like him or loathe him or not actually understand every single thing that he says. Actually, given what you said, it doesn't matter to him. He, and I think also when he dies, if he's killed or if he just dies naturally. He should be proud of what he's done in trying to wake up mankind. It's pretty obvious. He's not leading anyone down the garden path in the wrong direction. He at least can be mighty proud of what he's done.
He's spoken his truth, and what else is there to do? What else is there to do? I mean, you truth yourself. You be truthful to yourself. It's to be betrothed. You know, this reality now forces you to be the truth as you see it, and you leave yourself available for the truth to be changed tomorrow by new information. So you can say,
but
at this time...
Also, do you not feel, though, that you have... I've still got the energy, Paul, though, to bounce into a class of, say, a mixture of boys and girls, just children, because I've done it before, and there's nothing more exciting and challenging.
It's brilliant,
to be able to depart the shocking truth, although it really is a difficult one, that.
It's
but
fantastic.
the point is, no one really has particularly the chance unless they're homeschooling, because that's all taken care of with cameras in the classrooms and common purpose teachers basically digging at the very confidence and the hope and the wishes of any clear-thinking child, certainly in the UK, and that's got to stop, really. Every act of kindness matters. I was going to say that as well. Every act of love and kindness matters, no matter how small and in what arena.
They are
certainly, and also I was just going to throw this in, Paul and Sherry, that as long as the likes of Tony Blair, Henry Kissinger and Hillary Clinton actually are still alive and walk the earth and actually are interviewed and eating food here on earth, why wouldn't it be? They actually affect the lives and the world of everyone else around them, unfortunately, in a very, very negative way, and have set out on purpose to do just that, with groups like the Bilderberg Group as well, who actually take meetings only maybe less than once a year, but when they have those meetings, they're laid out a script that's already pre-written for them in the region of between 25 to 50 years ahead.
Absolutely.
Most people don't seem to realise that. The prices of oil, the price of food, the controlling of the weather. This is not fanciful conspiracy theory. This is all fact-based of a world that people are actually forced to live in.
They have to control the weather. They have to control the weather by the end. And I'll tell you for why. Because they are actually drowning us, okay? We're drowning in ignorance and debt. And that's why we need to start building arcs. Now, arcs in this reality are acts of random kindness. But I want to move on with what you're saying, because they do have to control the rain. And the rain is the water. Now, we can go back far enough in time. Your actual wealth was measured at one time is if you had a clean water supply. Okay, if you had a clean water supply, that would keep you well. And they knew that. So, the first power ever given to man was the possession of water. And that is where we get the word power from. Possession over water. And that is what they're now going to have to do. To complete this reality and move into the next one, they're going to have to take charge of the Earth's water supply. And that involves contaminating as much of it as they can and keeping the clean supplies for them. Over the next 50, 60, 70, 80 years, by the end of this century, 2100, they will have done it. I personally think that we will be living in domed cities, scared to go out, in a controlled atmosphere like fish in bowls. That's what I think the actual end goal is. Will they achieve it in 80, 90 years? Maybe.
Well, obviously you'd be... That's very interesting. I didn't actually know about the origins of the word power there, Paul, actually. But the point is, if that's where mankind will be in 50 to 90 years, that's only because they've been coerced and forced into that position.
Because we've been made into very small, insignificant sects.
Yes.
Okay.
And
we
also,
hang on.
Sherry's actually still got a dog.
We're being put into sects. Okay.
Yeah.
And if we just put the word in and sects together, you will find out why they call. You will find it why they call. They will find out now why they call it a web.
But then you had actually a switch of what's the word? You said insignificant cult, which you meant insignificant, but you're right about it. That it's a cult. It's many sects of cults they're brought into this truth movement. People who are swayed to grasp on to something that they believe in, however idyllic it seems to them. That they want something to believe in, so they'll grasp on to that that idea. Right? And then they're sucked into it. With all those movements.
Is the internet not? Is it not true that the internet does the following? Or Google does it for the internet? Is it not true that it speaks to you in your own language? Okay? It will answer any question. It can provide you with any form of entertainment you need. And it does it on a global scale at the very same time for everybody. Now, you tell me what that sounds like.
I'll tell you what that sounds like, Paul. Right? That sounds like, to me, like a scene out of a Steven Spielberg movie called AI.
I know. It sounds like the Antichrist, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You're
right about that.
He arrives as an angel of light. He arrives as an angel of light. He speaks to you in your own language. He tells you what you want to hear. He can answer every question, and he can provide every form of entertainment.
It's not like Hal from A Space Odyssey 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the Aldo Huxley.
Aldous, yes.
Aldous. What was the name of the computer in 2001: A Space Odyssey? Was it HAL?
Yeah.
Take that back a reality, or take it forward one reality. HAL. Take it forward. IBM.
Mm-hmm. Well, sure. IBM was the beginning of everything.
Yeah, but
say that again.
The computer's name in 2001: A Space Odyssey was HAL.
Yeah. International Business Machines.
HAL.
Yeah.
Now, if you just take that one step forward, you get IBM. The H becomes the I, the A becomes the B, and the L becomes the M. IBM.
Now I'm with you. And just in case anyone's listening to this and think you're being what's the word?
Facetious?
No, that's not the word.
Anyway, thanks, Sherry.
Yes, sort of making it up. I have to say, given my what I've been looking into with regard to how Hollywood works, Paul, unfortunately these sort of deeper meanings are indeed well thought out. It's not accidental. There are no coincidences. People like to think that they are, but in point of fact, these are all well thought out.
Nothing of the sort. You're absolutely right. I mean, people say that Hollywood is pre-programming. It is. You're absolutely right. They tell you what the future's going to be, and if you don't like it, do something about it.
Yes, actually, yeah. I mean,
think
it's really in your face, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the facts... What are you doing, Sherry? The facts are... I think the facts are in the movies and the fiction's in the news.
I know. Oh, and by the way, with regard to the stories on the news that you were talking about earlier on, they do very purposely they don't go back anywhere deep enough. It's just take it for granted that everything's perfectly normal, that the people are purveying it are doing this or that, and it just, even the more well-intended ones, they don't dig anywhere deep enough. So they're not giving you anywhere near the bigger whole story as to, there isn't any wars, it's just one-sided full-on occupation, and it always has been, even before the First World War, but people should definitely be looking into who the perpetrators were for the First World War, who were the financial winners, how many people died, and the things we're talking about are not recent events. The people conducting these wars are well trained. Unfortunately, millions and millions of people have died needlessly over the hundreds of years. Needlessly.
Okay. Let's let's change a little bit now, because I usually ask when I've got people like yourself who are obviously very professional researchers, got a good grasp on what's really going on, and I always ask this question: Alex Jones. What do we think of Mr. Alex Jones? Sherry, what do you go first?
Alex Jones. I was talking about him today. Alex Jones, you got to take the good with the bad. Yes, he does sell a lot of doom and gloom, and advertising and making money is part of his shtick. But his dealings, his people that he deals with, and what he talks about. I believe that he's only authorized to say so much. I think that he's there to perpetuate the doom and gloom and the fear in society, because it's that fear that makes people not want to question anything. It's the fear that makes people not want to, say anything. It's the fear that keeps everyone down, and without that fear, everybody is going to uprise. Without the fear, there will be no fear. And he perpetuates it. He multiplies it. He makes people afraid of the end of the world. And he's a cult leader, in my opinion.
Does he do that? Does he do that to you, though?
No. In the beginning, he freaked me out. I'm not going to lie to you. He totally freaked me out. But then again, he was the first person that I listened to, and I was like, whoa, this guy is out of control. He gets you, but at some point you have to break away from what he's saying and kind of go, ooh, wait a minute. What is he trying really to do here? Is he trying to freak me out and just make me completely scared to live? Yes. And that's not what I want. That's not what I don't think any of us want people to feel. I don't think that we should be afraid, because if we start to be afraid, then we stop living. And that's not our goal. Our goal is to live, to prosper, to be better than we were yesterday. And he, in my opinion, Alex Jones, is a fearmonger. He likes to instill fear in people so that they go and buy seeds, and they go and buy underground bunkers, and they buy his shit. And that to me that's not doing anyone any good. He doesn't sell any hope. He doesn't sell hope for anybody. He doesn't sell anything that is good, that is a good intent. There is no good intention for him. He's not saying, hey guys, love your neighbor. Let's not fight about this. What are the solutions where we can have an actual prospering society? He doesn't do that. What he does is he fosters this fear in people, and fosters the police state, martial law, this, dumbing down. That that only gets people angry. We're not supposed to get people angry. We're supposed to get people awake and to think for themselves. He doesn't do that. People don't think for themselves when they listen to him. They only listen to him. It's in my opinion, he's a cult.
Okay. Now I can go with a lot of that. I actually have a slightly different description, but I'll let Andy get in. Andy, you take it from here, and I'll go last.
All right, Paul, thank you. And thank you, Sherry. That's interesting, actually, because I like Alex Jones, except that the fact is, I've been giving this some thought. There is, on his everyday, he puts out a great deal of detail. He doesn't just do that research himself. No doubt he has volunteer research as well at work for him. Now, it could be said that because he doesn't talk about who the New World Order are, work on the Zionist or the Jewish aspect in any great detail, he does steer away from that. But also, maybe, and I think this is what you're going to say, Paul, is that because of the detail he gives out, like Sherry said, he doesn't actually produce any solutions. He doesn't talk in any detail, which I do always think deeply important, is to talk about the creators of money, what money is, why people are talking about law, legislation and courts and how to challenge them and why you should. All of that. And there's loads of excellent speakers that he could have on, but simply does not. So he just talks about the detail of the enclosing net of the matrix. But also, maybe as a script in Hollywood, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, see him as an asset because they are, it's not the fear so much even that he's putting out there, but the actual clever detail of how, because this has been thousands of years, he doesn't maybe necessarily even go back on the history long enough too much. He talks about just what's happening in the here and the now with regard to the weaponry, but not the actual names of the factories in America that make the weapons, that employ the people, and how they're directly contributing to the wars overseas with murdered men, women and children. You know, he could say that, but he doesn't sort of link it necessarily. And maybe the Illuminati see this as like, well, they need some spokesman. They haven't chosen him. He's done it for himself kind of thing. I don't see that there's a direct connection, but that he is sort of proudly showing off their work, and being the kind of people that they are, they're proud of all of the news and information that he puts out, as terrible that it is.
Now that is a very, very good descriptive, and it's not exactly what I was going to say. I'm not going to try and say, I'm not going to say that's what I was going. No, it isn't exactly. I'm not going to hijack it at all. I'll tell you what I see. And I only get to see Alex on a Monday and Tuesday usually. The rest of the time I'm busy. But I actually see a little bit of the tail wagging the dog, and I think Alex has built himself a bit of a not a monster, but he's built himself a media organisation that will fall apart without him doing his show every day. The media organisation would not stand on its own. Alex is the tip of the spear for that organisation, and it's so much pressure on him to actually do the same show every day with different words, because that's what's got him this far. So if he actually changed the format, you don't change a winning format. So I think Alex is actually not stuck in a moment he can't get out of, but I think Alex has found a format that he claims to be successful, and I think it is successful. As for what it's doing to the listeners, well, it'll do to the listeners whatever the listeners let it do to them. And Sherry said she's not fearful of him. I'm sure you're not, Andy. I'm not of him either. So I guess he's got every right to do what he's doing, and I'm not sticking up for Alex here. He's got every right to do what he's doing, and we've got every right to say what we're saying. And that's the way that's the way the world should go round without any more problems.
And I might just mention that pretty well every time I turn on to him, he's never been ashamed of hiding his face or his expressions, and there has been more than one occasion where I've seen him not just get angry, but actually almost tearful, because he's just being as honest as he possibly can. It's coming from the heart. And when you're looking in the face of somebody, seeing that, you can easily tell whether or not he's actually just pretending like Obama did the other day, or if he's for real. And I'm convinced that this man is absolutely for real in that regard. But having said that, Paul, also that clip that you just played there at the opener, the reason why I got the clip from They Live, actually, which is the clip in the movie, I think it's a 1988 movie for the listeners. Do look it up if you haven't heard of it before. They Live, John Carpenter. The very scene in that, when they're breaking into the television signal and putting across a signal into TV. That's actually how I imagined and why I got onto radio broadcasting in the first place. And I think the guaranteed next step is to, because of course they've made legislation to make it highly criminal to broadcast anywhere on FM. I think people should be stepping out of maybe streaming on worldwide internet streams, as well as doing that, but also breaking into the FM, because the very reason they've made the legislation is so they don't want the truth getting out in any direction, any format. I know Vincent Eastwood there broadcasts on American Freedom Radio, allegedly on AM, and I think some FM in the States, but that would put them under certain regulations that they can't say the F word, they can't swear. I don't mean that, I do mean outright pirate FM broadcasting. That scene sort of reminded me of that, because it's just a thought. I just wanted to put that out there.
I got another. If you guys are okay for a little bit longer, I got another question that I want to ask, and I don't know. I think Andy, I think you and I are the same age, and let's not go into detail. I just think we're similar ages. So the '60s weren't really our thing. Sherry, I'm pretty sure the '60s weren't your thing either. But we have enough information now to look back at the '60s. And are we not replaying the '60s with a more sophisticated control system?
Sure. It's kind of like you asked if what I was thinking about. If you go out in society and you ask them, how's civilization doing? How are we doing? What's going on in your world? Do you think we're more civilized than we were 20 years ago, 30 years ago? Or are we decivilized? And I think that they'll just kind of look at you and go, but the answer is that we've actually, we're decivilized. We've become so more uncivilized because we're letting things happen. It's like if you go back to the Pinochet regime in 1973, where the Chileans saw these horrific things going on. People were being snatched up off the streets and they were disappearing, and they let this atrocity happen, and they saw it and they looked away, and then then they had to live with it through those years from 1973 on, and they have to live with that. It's the same. It's just that we're repeating history, but it's becoming more serious. It's becoming more of what's the point? What's the word? A breaking point.
Sinister. I think sinister is the word that I would look for.
Yeah, it's becoming more serious. It's becoming more of a threatening world where in the 60s, maybe they would bully club you and arrest you, but now they're tasering you and pepper spraying you or beating the crap out of you and putting you in jail and not disclosing where you are. I mean, in America, they have Obama signed something where we can just arrest you for anything, and we're not even going to say anything where you are, and you could, just stay in there for years and we'll let you rot. I mean, it's becoming more of a desperate time. I think that, and now we're not even allowed to protest. You can get arrested for protesting. It's becoming so barbaric that it's not. It's almost like there's not an option for anybody to even say anything what's going on. Maybe that's why people are so apt to not say anything, because they don't want to get thrown in jail, which is it's a viable excuse. But the 60s there were peaceful protests, but they got mad, and people were more. They weren't as dumbed down as they are now because of all the additives and the food and the water and the skies and the birds and the bees. It's become the 11th hour, I believe. It
is 5 minutes to midnight. I agree with you entirely. I mean, and the miseducation system has got nearly all this to answer for. Yes, I know our food is what it is, and yes, we know the water's got questions, but it's the miseducation system, and it's on its third generation now of miseducation, and there's no doubt about it that if we don't educate our own children, as parents, if we don't see their education as our responsibility, you can be darn sure the control system will do it for us, but it won't be for us, it'll be for their benefit.
Sure. For Paul, if I may, if I could, yeah?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, well, basically, just to pull up on your question, I don't actually. I want people to listening to know that the peaceful revolutions that went on in the 60s, they didn't have mobile phones, and they certainly didn't have the internet at that time. And at this point in time, I'm wondering how many Freemasons that clearly did exist, and corporations, and the whole long plan that existed through the 60s, but how many people that were protesting in the 60s actually knew about their corporate entity, the name of fiction, and how to speak or to challenge any policeman at any time without fear, because they know full well of their position now with regard to money and equity. How many people could have envisioned that such a disgusting black operation as in 2001, 9/11, would actually be outed quite clearly as just that, a pre-planned operation? Do you really think that people should be, that the people who perpetrated that wanted people to wake up to the truth en masse, just because they kept the internet up and running? Do you think that in itself is tricky? I don't think so. No, the internet is clearly a God-given tool, and it should have been taken down at least six years ago, 5 years ago, if the powers that be really are powerful. They haven't been able to do that, which is why they infiltrate the internet with, trolls and misinformation, misdirection, which include guests, no doubt, as well, that take you off in a number of different varied directions which don't get to the point. To a lot of people like myself and the people I know, thankfully, they know full well they're around, and at the end of the day, they can't undo the knowledge they have with regard to challenging the courts system, which is basically a bank, not a place of justice. It never was. It was a bank based on equity, run and set up by the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. Unfortunately for them, that truth is out, and that won't be put back in the bottle.
Well, yes, I agree with you entirely, actually. I do believe that, we have the ability now to spread information at the speed of light. But the problem that I have is that the language clearly shows me, and I've done shows about it before, and I'll do shows about it in the future, that this is all planned. The internet, the discoveries that we're making, and really the results and answers that we're coming up with, none of it is new. The only new thing in this entire reality is the people who are finding it. This is just a rerun of the template of how to take down a society, and it's going very, very well. Now, you're absolutely right about we now know in depth the workings of the military system. We now know that the criminal justice system is designed for criminals. We know that now. We know that you'll be judged by the company that you keep, because we are all technically fish or sailors. This is a fish and ships reality in business. That's just a business connection. It's fish and ships and water, and I'm sure you know that, Andy. You understand what I mean by that.
Well, yeah, and I know that the internet was formed by DARPA. Yes, I mean, I don't believe everything I see on the internet. I'm very intuitive.
Yeah. It's not that I'm saying that the internet is a bad thing, but unfortunately, it's full of things that occupy our time. We spend, which is a monetary valuation, we spend our time for no return. In other words, we're giving them something for nothing, and that is our time. And although we feel we have added value to ourselves, we find it hard to share that value or to spend it into the real world. So this is a time machine that they've taken from us, and we're sat in front of a time-stealing machine. And it's brilliant. It's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I know. Well, yes, it is. And actually, depending on the bandwidth, and of course, big corporations are in total control. Your ISPs of actually delivering it to you. So, and that wouldn't have passed the minds of the controllers, and the electricity, of course, feeding your house to have it in the first place. But it is still up and running, and I don't actually play games. Obviously, young lads are pulled into playing games online, as in gaming, as in drone aircraft type games, killing, murdering and stuff. So there is a vast array of things which I probably haven't even touched on the internet. But I'm very proud of all the great work in certain areas on streaming. And by the way, VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. It does always disappoint me when I hear a lot of other streams that are well established and they're figuring that that is the only VoIP software that there is out there, and complain when, say, it doesn't work properly, or Facebook removes them, someone else's basically software. And there are loads of other social networks other than Facebook that everyone should be using. But most of all the great work that's been uploaded onto YouTube, a Microsoft Google entity in itself now, of which then through this ridiculous copyright, which I don't believe in. I'd love to get argument about that, but it's a free and open internet, and once it's out there and the money's actually created out of nothing. So even full-on movies that are like now in Hollywood, torrents and stuff like that, if they're made available, they should be downloaded. That's it. It's not a crime. The likes of George Bush selling heroin through the CIA, that's criminal, and that should be dealt with, not copyright.
Correct. Okay, correct. I agree with you entirely. I mean, I'm not saying the internet is bad for everybody. I'm saying we're using it as a time machine. It's a time-stealing machine. I'm not we, including you or I. I'm saying the general public is watching the closing of their high street shops, and they can't quite figure out that it's because they're shopping on in the box, in this new box. And we've always lived in boxes. We used to live in circular communities a long time ago, and we built our houses circular because we could defend them easier. But for some reason, which I'm not quite sure about, we got to boxes, and now we live in boxes. And every bloody thing, stare around the room you sat in, nearly everything is either square or round. And that is the basis of the control system that the Masons brought into being, I don't know how many thousand years ago. A square and a circle. They've been wanting to square this circle for a long time. And look around. You're surrounded by squares and circles. Do I give the Masons all the credit for this? No, I don't. Not at all. In the 1930s here in the UK, the Masons were number one suspect in the Depression, the military problems, and prior to the war, the Masons actually they had to go underground. They had to actually disappear because the Masons were being suspected of being up to no good. And that's what forced them underground. And they tried to come back above ground again in the 50s, but we weren't sure. We didn't trust them. And since then, they've become a private organisation, very much operating behind closed doors, as opposed to 80, 90 years ago, when they were the centre of the community, organising everything.
Paul, Sherry's just reminded me of something, and good for her. Another thing is that the distance of time that's passing with regard to, say, Occupy movements and cameras and photographs being taken, and videos being taken, DNA being stolen, and fingerprints being taken from everybody throughout Canada, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, and Ireland, given their interactions with the police. It's because if they don't learn about their person and their position within equity, and even if whether they do or not, through violence and violence only, this data gathering process is taking place, and actually it doesn't matter where that data is going in whatever databases, because, or if there's Illuminati or not, those groups, that data is simply going to be used against you at a later date. What they're trying to do is slam you with that legal entity. They're trying to qualify and validate in the longevity of the debt, in the trillions that's going globally, that one, you are responsible, and two, you are a person, a dead entity on paper. That truly is the biggest secret, one of them anyway, and the other one is free energy, which we won't get into now, but basically, to keep those secret, and the entirety of the way mankind is actually living off oil is the other one, Paul, but I don't know if we have the time tonight to go into that. But certainly with regard to information age, with regard to the 60s and now, data gathering, it's all about data gathering, zeros and ones, and names and DNA.
Okay, now I can see what Sherry's typing as well. So Sherry, did you want to come in here?
No, yes.
Okay.
No, I believe it's all about getting people out of their homes and getting people in a group and identifying them, because before we were just sitting in our houses behind a computer, typing this, typing that, but that really that wasn't doing any good for them, for their data mining, for their biometric system, for all of their biometric labs they have across the world. And what better way to identify, catalog, and number everybody is to get them out of their houses and make them believe that they are, standing up to their rights and making their voices heard by, getting them to protest. And by them protesting, then they have infiltration of undercover police and cameras, and then riots. And that riots, they just arrest anybody at will, and they get your iris scan, they get your fingerprints, they get your facial recognition, your gait, they get everything. And that's just, they're doing the work for them. And last year, in 2011, when Occupy Wall Street hit the area in Zuccotti Park in downtown New York, I was there a week after it started. It was a veritable gold mine for asswipes who really didn't know why they were there. They were just there to show up. There was 25 NYPD trucks there with their cameras surveying it, people in the crowds just watching everybody, and people that were in the group that were there to incite riots within that group. I believe that, if in that time it was questionable of, oh my God, they're going to shut down the internet, or oh my God, they're going to shut down Facebook or Twitter. And it's true, because now everybody is so dependent on social media, on the computer, that they use it 24 hours a day, that it's they live, they breathe, they eat it, they sleep it, that if they were to shut it down, there would be anarchy. And that would only be good for the powers that be, for the Illuminati, for the 1%, because that's what they want. They want to incite mass anarchy. I mean, they want hell on earth. That's what they want. They want it.
Okay.
They crave it.
Now, if we go to Occupy then, and we accept that Occupy, was, well, let's go back and say who organised Occupy over the internet, and that was Anonymous. Now, who do we think Anonymous is? Do we trust Anonymous?
That's a good question. There's, I take the good with the bad. It's, there are some good, there are some bad. Are they infiltrated? Of course. How could they not be? I think Anonymous has to be. It has to be a government entity, because they incite us to protest, and when they incite us to protest, we don't even see the word for what it is. Pro is for. They want us to shout and bawl to see how many of us there are. That's what protest is. They ask us to protest so they can count the numbers and test out the services and their ability to cope. This was just an exercise in controlling people who are not happy with the system. And I remember, and my pal Andy has reminded me of it over the time, when the Occupy Wall Street gang were being moved along in front of the stock exchange, and the bankers were hanging over the first floor veranda or whatever it was, drinking champagne,
and they were drinking champagne and laughing at them as they walked by.
Just like in Chicago, when they were doing the Occupy Chicago, and they were down on Wacker Street, and one of the guys in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, in one of their offices, they had a piece of paper that said, "We are the 1%." It's just laughing at them. They're laughing. They're laughing.
And Paul, if I may just jump in there, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Crystal.
Okay. Basically, one shouldn't be. You should be very careful, really. Basically, you should follow the money. It's already known that a Jewish businessman called George Soros actually set up all the catch lines and the organisation of Occupy, not Anonymous. And if there is a group called Anonymous, then by its very nature, it's going to be easily usurped by the CIA, MI5, or anybody else, because they're hiding their faces. However, to actually use a mask from a movie, which is also... it's not anonymous per se. Anonymous could be anything. There could be a very good element to the group Anonymous, and yet a video appear completely out of the blue, looks like it's been made by them, by a masked person in a certain style. How would we know?
Exactly.
How would we know who made it and why and where it's coming from? Unfortunately, that is the world we live in. But what you have to realise is that those groups have been realised by good friends of mine to have been people, they didn't go to the streets to look to a government gate to ask for any to strike or to ask the government to do anything. Though, of course, immediately in the media, it was, of course, portrayed that way, or, as it should be, completely leaderless. So, allegedly leaderless means also without ideas. But then if you get paid people, mercenaries basically, not in this case to be violent, but just to lie and act, of which there are loads, very sick people around, like you said, you didn't want to go into the Sanhok thing, but, they've been tracked and traced, not by the police, but by people who are smart with cameras, who have made the moves and filmed them, see them turning up at different places, saying different things, try and misguide people with misguided, ridiculous plans and ideas, not their own, but paid to say that. Proud members of the CIA, I would imagine, in America. They think this is smart, it's clever. But basically, even if it transpires to started in June of 2011, and then spread as much as it possibly could, because basically it was probably designed to kick the feeling out of people who haven't studied, because they got to the street without any study whatsoever with regard to the name of fiction. Maybe with goodwill, and they would let that, they've got all the time in the world, so they let that stretch out over 3 years or 4, and let it burn out. So those same people will go away saying, well, I tried, and basically, actually quite simply get quite apathetic about being able to make any change whatsoever. Why? Because that emotion, that feeling for the overall plan of the New World Order was sensed, because people couldn't possibly conceive of the fact that they're being puppeteered, they're being played with by the very turning up at Occupy movement.
Okay. Well, it is coming to 10:35 p.m. here in the UK, so we are moving into the last 10 minutes. I do have a little bit of something else that I need to do once we finish this interview, so we've got about 10 minutes to go. But I want to put one more big point into there, and this is going to be contentious, but I'm going to put it in there, and that is that I actually have come to the conclusion, and it may change tomorrow, it may change in 5 minutes' time, but right now my conclusion is that the internet and what we have as historical content, I think more than 50% of it has got to be nothing more than very tall stories. I have concluded that we live in a program system, and they tell us what the history is, and because we don't live long enough, we cannot go back and check. And all we have available to us is being given to us for free. Now, anybody that gives you something for free, especially in this quantity, it cannot really be for free. We know we are plugged into a global spy grid. They say it's for business, and it is for business. It's good business for them, because they can then bring in the digital currency. That's why the internet is one of the very big reasons why the internet exists, because you can only use digital currency. And they've had a number of goes at getting currencies going, and when we finally click onto the one that they want us to click onto, we'll be just about there. Now, it's going to be about a 10-year project, I think, to get all the shops on the high street shut that don't feed you. That's all that will be left on the high street. We'll actually have electric coming into our house, gas coming into our house, water coming into our house, and the food shop will be within walking distance. And there'll be nothing else. That's your lot. Everything else will be done on this wonderful box. And I think that we are spending far too much time in this magical box looking at things that are in the past. And I think the past is very important to know, but it cannot help you at a certain point. Then you have to move forward and start creating your own future. I don't think the internet is our saviour at all. I think it's disguised as our saviour, but I don't think that's how history is going to play out.
Well, okay, Paul, if I may, before Sherry gets in there, I don't altogether agree with you on that. I just want to throw in one name. I keep forgetting his name. It's Neil Saunders, before people forget. The fact is, I keep my Skype room open with people who actually have taken the time to learn fact-based stuff, not just opinions. And the reason is that maybe, certainly if we're forced and cajoled into this position 10 years down the line, it won't take much longer than that, into a cashless society that you've just described, then at least if we're actually still alive, we will know the perpetrators of our forced slavery, if you're actually still alive and if you accept it. I got on the radio not just to talk fact, to have facts taught to me, facts of which can be discovered by others listening on the internet. And I would be also very, very careful about where those facts come from. But someone like Neil Saunders, who talks about the CIA, MK Ultra, and their LSD trips, so that the mind and reactions of mankind, when forced, are actually known in the future that we're going to be having. We've been studied anyway, and all the trickery. I love being on the radio anyway, just to sort of out all the sleazy trickery about the Disclosure Project and Project Bluebeam that'll be coming our way anyway. If I can, I'll remain here. It would be very exciting if the internet remains as is, but obviously YouTube and Google are not to be used because they've changed graphically, certainly Google as a search engine, but there are many others, and you can still dig deeper, but you can still find some very good information out there on the internet. But I mean, you seem like, Paul, that you've, your approach is that you're not giving it too much energy, which is okay, I guess.
No, hang on, let me in. I surely am giving it all my energy. I really do give it all my time that is available, and it is considerable. But I don't think handing my time into this time machine here is what I want to do. I find reading books and interacting with people who want to interact with me, creating something real with somebody I can see and feel and touch. I feel that is creation for me. The internet is a counterfeit version of creation. What we're doing now is we're creating a 2-hour radio show that will be on YouTube tomorrow. Now that is creation. What somebody does with it is whatever they do with it. But if you're not creating content for the internet, all you're doing is sharing existing content. And that existing content can be read or watched, but it's not creating something new of value for others to benefit from. All you're doing is watching, and we know on our watch every movement is a second, because you're not first. So all we're doing is, although it's just a second, we're living in the past, and you can't create the future while living in the past.
Sherry? Sherry, are you there?
Sherry. Sorry, no, I'm here.
Yeah.
Don't be frightened. I'm still here. No, I was just looking at something else. You're right about that. You cannot. You have to stay in the present, but you need to look to the future. But it's it's a bubble. Just like you're saying about closing the shops on High Street, about this sustainable living, about these green cities that they're going to be having in 50, 60 years, which I think is pretty cool. It's very futuristic, but it's the dome. Was it Mannheim Buller or Buller Mannheim or one of those guys? These dome cities that they have, where everything is contained like a little ecosystem. Where like Agenda 21, where we have it all blocked off. The red zones, the green zones, the black zones, the white zones, where we can and cannot go. That's where it's going. But it's you cannot control the future unless we know where we've been. And to know where we've been, we have to know all the facts. But who knows what the facts are? I mean, I have a friend, Nico, who was part of the 9/11 truth movement, who was kicked out of it because he was the first guy on September 12th, 2001 that said, whoa, this is not what happened. And he has a theory of, he's a brilliant man. He goes and he believes that the world really started in 1649. I don't know. We only know this because this is what we've been taught. It's only what they tell us. So it's like these fairy tales, these tall tales, these stories, these nursery rhymes, these stories that they tell us in school in our history books, what we read. Mm-hmm. We only know so much is because what they tell us. I mean, it really, to be honest, it is all just a big matrix, a big story that we're being led on to. And if we don't break away from that story, that tall tale, that that fantasy that they've created here, how are we ever going to know what the truth is? And we need to know that. That is our right. We have a divine right to know what is going on.
And that's why we're lost at sea, isn't it? Technically, we're lost at sea, going round in circles, because we don't know where we came from, we don't know what we are, and we really only have some misty idea of where we're going. And for that, it makes us unstable. And the best we can achieve is to float. And that's sort of where we are right now.
Paul, sorry, if I may, right, the point is, a lot of people, you can't speak for them, a lot of people, they do know themselves. They know themselves well enough to know that not only have they been lied to at every single year since birth in school, but they are constantly getting lied to by judges in courts and by politicians and bankers, because they know it's not, because if you deliberate on what the truth is because a lie is continued, then you do have choices, and the only choices you actually do have is either you continue to voice what you believe to be absolutely true, and then your aspersions will be cast upon your mental health immediately if they question anything to do with any kind of authority. Well, I'm sorry, I wanted to mention this, Paul, because actually this is deeply serious and very, very big, because it's a pre-planned nothing new. They've been doing this for absolutely ages, and perfectly normal, lovely, peaceful people have been jabbed full of drugs and basically imprisoned away, never to be heard of again, in insane asylums of which money is created out of nothing to prison them away, basically cast doubt on their confidence and on their mental health, period, even though there is nothing to be established in the business of mental health whatsoever. There's plenty of information on that online to discover, but that is, this is the worrying aspect. You can't just willy-nilly go around talking the truth about 9/11.
No, well, we're not. No, we're not. I know what you're saying, but what we...
Oh, I am.
Yeah, well, okay, I realise that, but hang on a second. What I was commenting with Sherry was that we must stop using the word truth. I don't use it. I don't like it. Yeah. Because it's no good to me. Because the fact is that something can come into my world tomorrow and change what I thought it was. So I leave it in a very safe place, and if I ever need it, I'll have to take what I've got at the time of asking for it. But other than that, I'm going to have to accept that all incoming information is going to have to be filtered, and I'm going to have to use all incoming information at this time to at least give my answer. And we do not, we do not know real history. We know what we're told real history was. And, right. Then we've got to stop there and say, OK, let's not argue about that then, because we can't prove it. And then we talk about the time just before we were born. And the only real information we can get from that time is from somebody who's still living. Because everything else is to be read or to be watched. You don't experience it. You're not using your senses to actually decode it. So we've got to be very careful about arguing what is, when we should be arguing about what we're going to do about it. What are we going to change in the next 5 minutes, the next 5 hours, the next 5 days, and the next 5 months in our lives to affect change in other people's lives? Mm-hmm. That's the conversation that I love having. And I decode the language and say to people, it's all hidden in this language in plain view. We have a word called imagination, and it's a wonderful word because it's made up of 3 words, and it's I, Magi, nation. I create my own world. So stop dreaming about it and start building it.
Yeah, it's like heaven. It's, well, I was going to say heaven.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but nothing worth having is easy.
Exactly.
That's what we enjoy. The guys love it. The guys love a challenge. A real man loves a challenge every day. And all he needs at the end of the day is a thanks very much from somebody who loves him. And that is, the bill has been paid. Now we're going to get up and try a bit harder tomorrow. That's how guys are programmed. It's not a bad thing. Guys just want thanks very much. Thanks very much for trying your best and doing a good job. And I love you for it. And that's it. It doesn't matter how exhausted he is. He just says, that's it. I've been paid in full. Happy days.
It didn't pass people by a long time ago, I don't know, even 10 years now, from the people I've talked to as well. Yes, the logic, if you understand Admiralty and that it exists, and if you can actually get over the fact that you were hammered out of asking questions in a classroom as a child, then obviously asking questions of perfectly valid truths that you've discovered to a judge in a court, one would expect certain civility, to be treated in a normal way and to have the answers given you, because that's what you do, you ask questions. Now, clearly, since it's an adversarial system with no basis whatsoever except violence, then judges, male or female, actually think they're quite clever at being in Freemason groups and actually ignoring your questions or basically giving you a lie as an answer to your question because of the position they've put themselves in. Always ask questions. The solution is to actually try, if anyone's listening to this podcast, research what I'm saying.
No, we got.
Well, no, I'm just saying it for later.
It'll be a YouTube video. That's what it'll be. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow.
Of course it will, yeah. I know what you're saying, Paul. Solutions, and again, you're absolutely right. The subject matter of which we talk is exasperating to a lot of people, and they may well know of this, and they may well be looking for solutions. The only two I've ever given forward really is either know what I'm talking about, and so in your own world, in your own way, challenge when you're, you could be going through your life completely untouched, which is fine. But when civil servants wants to breach your peace and assault you in any way, any level of a civil servant, then you should know how to handle that, and definitely not handle it in a way you might consider to be normal. Basically, it's as little interaction as testimony as you can give, and don't sign anything, and know why you're not going to sign anything.
Just watch Goodfellas and keep your mouth shut. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
All right, yeah. And the other one, Paul, is to, and this could be a point of contention, but basically get together with like-minded people in a community, form a community, living off the land, and of course, at which point you're actually, and there are lots of people already doing this, but they're not of mind to actually challenge who owns the land, and of course, basically going ahead and asking local councils for permission to put their, a wind turbine up and this and that and everything else. So it's actually not changing anything as 20 to 30 years ago, if that's exactly what you're going to be doing.
Their attacks come from all directions, and our attacks should come from all directions as well.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a word in this language called creation. And what is the opposite of creation? Well, you'd think it was destruction, but it can't be, because the opposite is in the word itself. Because creation creates a reaction. It's the same spell. We live in a world of spells, and I'm going to mention this now while the recording's still going. Around about 6 YouTube videos back from the one that you're going to be watching today, I've made a study of the language called obvious or oblivious. Now, obvious is that you can see. It's obvious. Oblivious is that you cannot see. And the only difference between those two words are 2 letters, L and I. And the talk is called Obvious or Oblivious. Can you see the lie? Okay, and that talk is part 1 of a 2 or 3 part talk I'm going to put together about Admiralty law. Now, I know you've been talking about that, Andy, tonight, and I've tried not to get too involved, because it is about Admiralty law, how we got here, why we are fish and ships, and why everything, absolutely everything we do is connected to water. Because water is money, and we live in a divided duality, and we think a divided duality is the word individual and it's one. Well, it can't be, because it tells you it's 2. And we have 2 dualities going at this level. We've got the SEE, which is what we live on and what we see, and we've got the SEA, which is the laws that have been forced upon us. So if anybody wants to go back 6 YouTube videos, maybe 7 back, that talk is there. Obvious or oblivious. It's been a wonderful 1 hour and 45, 46, 47, 48 minutes.
Paul, if I could just throw in quickly there, okay, just for the record, Admiralty is a code of conduct. That's all it is. You make the law when you have a meeting of the minds within that code. Okay, and legislation is something completely something else. It's not law. Admiralty is a hidden code or rules, just hidden code like UCC.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And also, I'll speak on behalf of Sherry. How are we going to bill you for the last 2 hours of our time? Huh?
You can bill me. You can bill me in love and kisses.
Love and fish and chips. You're making me
Yeah,
hungry.
fish and chips. I gotta say my thanks to Andy, Odin Wild Hunt. Thank you, Andy, for joining us this evening. Take care, my friend. It is a pleasure to be part of your group and to speak to you this evening. I shall be trying to be more proactive and try and get some more guests off your group, because if this is an example of the people that you've contacted, I need to speak more. Good night, my friend, and thank you.
God bless. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Andy. And Sherry, what a lovely, it's been lovely to have your pleasure. It really has, because your voice is brilliant. I could listen to your when you talk slow. I could just listen for hours.
Ooh, good to know.
No, talk slower than that.
Good
Sherry,
to know.
your time has been a pleasure. It really has. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'll speak to you next time I see you on Skype, and thank you personally. But for now, I'm going to say good night, God bless, and keep fighting.
Yes, you too, baby.
Good night,
God
darling.
bless.
Good night, thank you.
You're welcome. Good night, baby.
Bye-bye. Well, there we are then. There we are. Well, I think, as always, our interviews are over. It is 7 minutes to 11, and we duly printed out all the news stories.
Yes.
And apart from the drone one.
Oh, yeah.
The drone one. Yeah, we're getting drones that can identify their own bloody target.
We've spent $2 billion on drones since 2007.
Anyway.
$2 billion.
Let's say goodnight to everybody. Thanks for listening. If you listen on YouTube, all the links to the two guests that I've spoken to this evening, to Andy and myself, please message us, leave your comments, leave your criticisms, join the conversation, stay part of being alive and kicking. All right? They push our buttons, so let's push these buttons and make a difference. Good night to everybody, and thanks for listening.